Hello, thank you for tuning in. I'm Dolly, and this is my channel where I talk about knitting and crochet. So here we are. Um, Today's project that I finished recently is called the Shoulder Holder by Missa, which is a free pattern I found on Ravelry, but you can also find it on midnightknitter.com. And it's a really lovely crop jacket, which seemed, which I picked because it seemed like a simple enough pattern. And I had gotten a bunch of yarn from Shein, so I decided to give it a try. The pattern says it uses Llama Jama pure sheep's wool, which I could not find on the internet, but I believe is a DK weight yarn. Here it is. Ooh. Um, the yarn that I got off Shein doesn't really have like an explicit name. It appears to be a Chinese yarn. Um, but as you can see, it kind of worked up with all this white and different shades of purple, which is what drew me to the yarn. The yarn's name is just one skein DIY one skein DIY yarn. The yarn on Shein is called One Skein DIY yarn. It comes in a couple different colorways. The one that I picked is called Multicolor, but as you can see here, it's just a bunch of different purples and whites, which I really liked. The fiber content of this yarn, according to the label in Google Translate, says it's 80% long staple cotton and 20% milk fiber. Don't know what that means, but it's very soft. And it worked up really nicely for this project. So I'll give you a little bit of a better look here. This is the back, and it's a little crop jacket, so it's not super long. There are the sleeves. And as you can see, it has ribbing towards the top, to help the knitting lay flat. It has this, I don't know what this is called exactly, but this work that's done to separate the sleeves. And then you separate the sleeves and then you add to the bottom. And then you add ribbing to the ends of the sleeves as well. So about the pattern, it's a free pattern. So I'm going to go into a little bit more explicit detail about some of the details of the pattern. Now, the problem I ran into with this pattern is that it fits, they have sizes for extra small, small, medium, and large, ranging from 30 inches to a 42-inch bust. I'm larger than that. I'm really more like a 3 or a 4X. So I futzed with it a little bit to get it to be a bigger pattern. It says to use a US 9 needle, and that is 5.5 millimeter. Going back to the yarn that I got from Shein, it seems like it's either a DK or a worsted weight. So I didn't have to frog this project while working on it. There was one point where I had to work the sleeves and go back, but I made out pretty good using the 5.5 millimeter needles with the yarn that I had. Going back to the pattern, it says it, so my bust size, I think, is closer to like 48 inches or so, maybe 50, I don't remember. So I had to alter the pattern to make it accommodate a larger body. So I'll talk about how I did that as well. The first thing I did was I what I did is, and you know, if you're not a stranger to accommodating pattern sizes for your larger body, perhaps you've done this as well. But for me, I looked at the original cast on stitches. You work from the top down, and it said 60 for the extra small, 64 for small, 70 for medium, 74 for large. So I kind of saw that one of the sizes jumped by 6 stitches, so I added 6 to 74, and I cast on 80 stitches. And it does have to be even because you're working a knit 2, purl 2 rib for 6 rows to work out the collar. So from there, I kind of just used the logic of the pattern to assume what would be like the next step. So for the yoke, after you do the ribbing, it says to knit 5, 6, 7, or 8 stitches. So I said, okay, I'm doing a size up. I don't mind if it stretches a little bit. I'll do 9 stitches. And then place a marker, then knit 12, 12, 13, 13. So then I knit 14, and then I placed a marker, etc., etc. So just to kind of give you an idea of how I altered the pattern to try to make it a more accommodating size. But yeah, that being said, oh, and it also said the gauge. The gauge is 4.5 stitches per inch. So, you know, worked out the gauge as well. Like I said, you can get the whole pattern off Ravelry or midnightknitter.com, and you can kind of see for yourself. It's not a very long, it doesn't seem to be a super complicated pattern in my opinion. I consider myself to be like, you know, an advanced beginner knitter where I've made a couple projects at this point. Like simpler projects in terms of wearables, like hats. I did make a dress. So now I'm working on a couple tops right now. I found it to be a really great pattern. Like I said, I really liked the project, and I liked having this crop jacket that I can wear with whatever I want. You know, if I'm wearing a tank top or even this shirt that I have on now, my cool weird cat eye shirt, which I also got off Shein. You know, it just seemed really cool. The only part I had to really go back with was when, after I had split the sleeves to start working on the bottom, it had me cast on a couple extra stitches to accommodate I guess the width of the sleeve. And when I first tried it on, it wouldn't fit at all. So I then had to go back. I had to tank a whole row and then work on working the rows longer per the pattern in order to get it to be a more accommodating size. But as you can see, you know, it fits pretty well. It's not long. It really cuts off around the bust line, which is what I wanted when, you know, I sought out this pattern. Yeah, thanks for checking out my video. Feel free to like and subscribe if you want to hear me talk about more patterns that I work on, or just to see what I make. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below. I'd be more than happy to check it out and see if I can help.